Have you ever reached a point in your life where you know you should feel satisfied, but instead you just feel stuck and unfulfilled? You know you're capable of more, but you just can't seem to get any traction forward. Well, that's how I was feeling at the beginning of the year. Now, I was oscillating between, things I was really excited about and things or like heavy feelings that were almost like feeling bogged in the mud, right? So I went out of my comfort zone and I got some help. And I've just finished a 3-month coaching block with Kirk Ashley. Now, he was instrumental in reminding me of all the lessons and coaching advice I used to live my life by. He gave me some of my sparkle back. Now, one of the homework exercises he got us to do to finish off our coaching block was to write down 8 things that have benefited or rewarded me in my life from our coaching sessions. And since I got great benefit from them, I thought, well, maybe you can get some benefit from my top 8 lessons as well. So that's what this episode is about. Let's get into it. If there was a guarantee that you could create your dream life, a life that truly mattered to you, would you want it? My name is Terriane Palmer-Peacock, and I am delighted to welcome you to the One Person Podcast. I have a belief that one person can make a difference in the world. When we show up as the best version of ourselves, when we create and live our dream lives, we make a positive impact on ourselves and the world around us. So if simple, actionable, step-by-step strategies, tools and tips on how to do that inspires you, then you are in the right place, my friend. So let's get started. So Doug and I have just finished a 3-month coaching block, which was to help me get out of hibernation and get me back into the public eye again. Basically, I was looking for someone to validate who I am as a person and give me permission to be me on a grander scale. Now, in the context of this podcast, I suppose I was looking for my one person. Now, on the outside, most people say that I come across extremely confident, and for the most part, I am. I do know myself, but there are times when I really doubt my abilities, my qualities, the direction that I'm heading in, and the things that I want to create. And thankfully, I have some really great friends in my network. Last week, I had a couple of catch-ups, and one of the conversations I mentioned to my friend, I'm not sure I'm relevant anymore. Now, does what I teach people appeal to anyone nowadays? Now, she said to me at the time that she wanted to reach over the table and slap me because what I teach has never been so relevant as it is right now. And she knows of heaps of people that are searching for the things that I'm teaching. She said people are desperate for the information that I'm sharing. So on that particular day, she was my one person and exactly what I needed to hear. In fact, as a result of that, I went home and tweaked who my ideal client was so that I can serve them better moving forward. And I realized from another conversation I had earlier on in the week was how much my confidence and self-esteem was being eroded and how much has been eroded by being or spending too much time on social media. Now, this other friend, she's actually just recently deleted LinkedIn and a couple of other apps because she found her self-esteem and confidence were also being destroyed every time she opened them. The stories about how amazing these people are, the incredible holidays they're taking, the magical relationships they have. But the truth is, very few of them are the full story. There are snippets of goodness that show up in moments throughout the day or week, or sometimes the moments that we see are only happening once a month. But because that's all we see, the impression we have is that their life is amazing and ours is sadly lacking, when in reality, we actually all know deep down that's not true. And even though we know it's not true, we still compare ourselves to their amazing looking lives and put our own lives much further down the totem pole. And we need to stop doing that. We need truth. We need raw. We need real. We want to know what's going on without the hype of promises, of flashy moments. Instead, look at how we can create holistic, full-bodied life experiences, ones that challenge us and excite us and inspire us to be better than we are now, because that's the true purpose of life. Advancement and growth, that's living, which means we also need to create experiences that allow us to show up as our fullest expression. And when we more than fulfill our place, and we step into bigger and bolder moments that scare us, that challenge us, that leave us wondering if we can do this, we've got to do that, because that's how we grow. That's how we live life. And I'm passionate about that because I know we all can be so much more than we're showing up as right now. So, that being said, working with my coach, here are the top 8 things I've embodied over the past 3 months from my journey. And maybe just 1 or 2 or maybe 3 of these things will resonate with you and help you improve, change, or make a difference in your life. So the first one was think to create, feel to decide. Now, I am a thinker. My coach to me said, actually in week 2, Kirk said to me, you are a thinker, Terriane. You are very analytical, and sometimes you need to get out of your head, because there were things that I was working on and I found myself going round and round and round in circles, which just led to procrastination, which then led to frustration. And by him saying that to me, think to create, feel to decide, it's almost like he gave me permission to feel, to use my mind and thoughts to create the new things that I've got going on in my head, but to check in with how I'm feeling when I needed to decide on something. Now, this was actually really big for me, and as a result of taking on this as a belief and a new habit in action, I find myself now making much better quality decisions and making them much faster than I'd been doing previously. So it was a great start for me. Number 2, stop criticizing and start celebrating. Now, as a coach myself, I'm always asking people how they celebrated their wins. And, and as a coach myself, I can be a little bit crap at celebrating my own wins. It's kind of like the plumber who has a leaky tap, right? But I know sometimes I can be downright mean to myself. And I got a wake-up call when my hairdresser, of all people, told me one day, and she said, do you know what? You need to stop being so mean to your hair. I was complaining about the frizz and that sort of stuff. I'm like what? But she was right. So you can imagine if I'm being incredibly mean, so much so that my hairdresser tells me to stop, imagine what I was also saying to myself internally. What was my internal self-talk? And what this awareness brought to light was I'm often not celebrating because I'm not achieving at the standard I know I'm capable of achieving it. And I think this is prevalent in most high performers. Instead of acknowledging what is getting done and what progress has been made forward or what progress has been done, we only see what is still left to do or what didn't get done as opposed to what did. And when we do achieve or win, whatever it is that we're going after, we often go straight on to the next thing or the next goal without really taking that time to pause, to reflect, and to celebrate what we have achieved. So from that revelation, I'm making a few adjustments in my momentum planner to ensure more focus is put on celebration, on gratitude, because it really is a key component of success. So my question to you would be today, what are the things that you need to celebrate? The little things, not just the big things, but the little things that go, you know what? I didn't procrastinate this last hour and I got full focus done for 30 minutes. I'm going to celebrate that. Let's go. Right. Number 3, why is a disempowering question? Meaning stop asking why. Oh, tell you what, this was an absolute goodie for me. If the quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions you ask, then why keeps your quality low? Because it doesn't help you find a solution or move you forward towards what you're actually trying to achieve. It's kind of like the drama glue that keeps you stuck in your stories. For example, I'm trying to get my coaching accreditation in outrigging at the moment, and there is one woman who signs off on them that sees me as her greatest competition. I actually don't know what's going on in her head. But anyway, she is doing everything she possibly can to stop it from happening. I have had to jump through so many hoops that no one else has had to. It's almost laughable. And at first I was asking questions like, well, why do they want that? Why is she doing this? Why would anyone try and hold people back from trying to make the sport better? I don't get it. But here's the thing, the answers to those questions don't help me get accredited. All they do is wind me up and put me on a rant, which other people love to join in on. Instead, what we need to do is we need to recognize when we're asking those why questions and retrain our brain to ask a question that proactively helps us move closer to what it is that we want. As in, what's the opportunity here? You know, I've spoken to so many people in Outrigging over the past few weeks, and now all of them know who I am. They know my credentials, they know my successes, and one person is even seeking to not only get me level 1 accredited, but to try and get me upgraded to level 2 because of my experience and knowledge. You see, there's always a silver lining in these experiences. So the key lessons from this is think about asking empowering questions like, how can I feel productive today? What did I do great today? Who has what I want? And what would they do or say in this situation? Or think about outcome-driven questions like, well, what has to happen for XYZ to occur? Right? Ask those types of questions instead of why. And anytime you notice yourself asking why, flip it and retrain it. So where's the opportunity here? Which leads me to number 4. And this is asking an empowering question when things go wrong. And that question is, what's great about this? Now, for me, that question was actually, or the learning of that question was actually in the context of the universal law of polarity, which is one of my favorite laws. Everything has an opposite, the flip side of the coin, in equal and opposite directions. So if something's going pear-shaped, in the opposite direction is equal measure of something great. What's great about this? So that question in combination with the law of polarity forces you to look for or find the opposite opportunity that must be present. This is science, this is fact, this is a universal law, right? This is gold, right? Now remember, I did these lessons over a 3-month period and I had them repeated to me several times for them to really sink in and for me to eventually make the change around them. So this may be one of those episodes that you may need to revisit and listen over and over again to take one of these lessons and actually make change with it at a deeper level within yourself. All right, so that was number 4. What's great about this in the terms of the law of polarity? Number 5, or learning number 5 for me, was what has to happen? Again, these are questions. Do you notice that on a lot of these lessons and learnings are about questions or asking empowering questions? The quality of your questions determines the quality of your life. So number 5 for me was the question, what has to happen for me to feel whatever it was? Okay. Now, this was actually a 3-question approach, which I think I mentioned in one of the previous episodes. So question 1 is, well, how do I want to feel? So let's, for example, say, well, I want to feel joy. Question 2, well, what things, activities, or experiences give me feelings of joy? So that might be, okay, paddling with great paddlers, surfing my OC1 on small bumps, laughing with my girlfriends, dancing to great music, hanging out with G. You know, I could list loads of things that give me joy. All right, so you've got to be able to answer question 2. Question 3, how can I schedule the things that give me joy into my day? This is where the rubber meets the road. You need to give yourself permission to schedule the things that give you joy or whatever it is, emotion that you want to feel, into your calendar on a regular basis. You know, this one is such a simple strategy, but before you can employ it, we must give ourselves permission to have those feelings in our lives in the first place. So let me know, shoot me a message or send me an email. How do you want to feel? And what are the things that give you those feelings? All right, number 6, turn your problems into products. Dr. Wayne Dyer, he's an American self-help author and a motivational speaker. Now, his first book was published in 1976, and he went on to publish another 20 books after that. In fact, his books were fabulous when G was growing up. But if you look at the content of the books he wrote, they were the evolution of his life. And every book was the advancement of some different aspect or some area of his life. Now, we all have a book in us. Not that I'm inspired to write a book. That's not me. But I do know that when I share my stories and my challenges, it helps me connect with my audience better. It's something to think about if maybe you're a coach or consultant or even a motivational speaker like Wayne. All right, number 7. We've only got 2 more to go. All conflicts are real conflicts. So the first 2 weeks of our coaching, we spent identifying what rules we were living our life by. And what was interesting with this exercise was there were so many rules I was putting in place that was developed when I was a small child. Now, as an older adult, when I really looked at them, they simply didn't make sense, but they were so habitual in just how I did things. I was still following them. Changing what those rules were and putting new rules in, well, overnight, that made a difference to how I view the world today. And this exercise, which I'm now including in all my coaching programs, allows me to live life by rules that I choose. Now, when you're changing the rules on how you're living your life, that's what I call powerful. And finally, but not last, not least, number 8, and that is due date, not deadlines. Now, this one's kind of a small but impactful realization for me. You see, deadline was one of my most used words, and I'm a big believer that words have power. I mean, think about it. Deadline. Now, what image comes to mind for you when you think dead and line? Now, I see that heartbeat machine with that flat line going across. No heartbeat, no life, dead. And so that's the energy I was bringing to my tasks when I put deadlines on them. The stress around the deadline was creating a negative force opposite to the direction I was wanting to move in. It was negating all my good manifestation work. So I've changed the word deadline to due date. I have due dates now, and it's a bit like birthing a baby. There's an estimated time when it's due, but it'll come when it's ready or when I'm ready. Sometimes it might be earlier than the due date, and that's okay. And sometimes it might be a little bit later than the due date, and that's okay too. Because if it's something that truly matters to you, early or late are both okay options, especially when we know and we trust that no matter what, whatever it is that we're wanting is coming. So there you have it. 8 powerful lessons that have helped me over the past 3 months to keep my focus, prioritize what really matters to me, and align with my purpose. Now, I would really love to know, are there any lessons that I shared with you today or any of my lessons that made an impact for you or something that you might want to take on board? Click on the link in the show notes and leave me a message on which ones resonated with you, or shoot me an email to ask@terrianepalmer.com. That's it for us today. Now, remember, if you're enjoying the podcast, please share it on your socials or invite a friend to tune in. The more people we can connect with, the more opportunities we have to make the world a better place. So until next week, stay inspired, be creative, and most of all, love your life today.